After having the chance to regroup with an Easter break, the top drivers in WINSTEL competition return to the racetrack tonight at iRacing's virtual Texas Motor Speedway for the 6th race of WINSTEL competition for its 2003 season here on FDFGG. Good evening, everyone. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside the booth tonight is Derek Watson, producer Bradley Cooper, getting all set to go to see which drivers step it up in the Lone Star State. 36 entrants have made their way to Texas tonight, Derek, and after an exciting 5 races to begin the season, the best look to see how they play out when we get things rolling, starting here for the mid-spring run.
That's right, JP. We're here for the mid-spring run. Easy for you to say. Of course, we just had that 2-week Easter break. We did not hear a peep from these drivers, but I think they're all ready to hop back into action. I'm not ready yet, apparently. But I'm excited for Texas tonight, Justin. It's going to be multi-groove racing. It's going to be fast, 55 laps, and I'm excited to see how well these cars handle with these new exciting Gen 4 cars.
Indeed. Let's take a look at how drivers will start here tonight as they look to zip their way around recently updated Texas. Jose Solis Jr. on the pole today in the 29-1s, with Christian Budd starting in the 2nd spot. In row 2, it's Tyler Head in the 86. Fred Jones looking to zoom around the Wood Brothers racing machine. Tyler Lewandowski. Of note, Elliott Sadler was strong here, a former driver of that car prior to the 2003 season. Larry Pace returns to competition tonight. Several-time winner in the 2006 campaign starts 5th. He's joined by Dustin Montgomery, his first start of the season. Dylan Roberts starts 7th with Nicholas Doucette in 8th. Rounding your top 10, the points sitter and points leader in turn. Coming into this race, James Holzer in the 91, Ryan Doucette 77 in 10th.
Let's go and pick up a P11, Justin. That's going to be Sean Pelican at 48 machine, followed by Jonathan Hernandez in at 83. Jacob Bradley 3 with Kyle Benson on the outside, not 38 machine. Ali Osman in a 5 and Ben Hancock in a 6. They're in numerical order side by side, the 5 and the 6. Then the 40 of Gabriel Mauricio and the 2 of Chris Champeau. And then Christina Ryan in that 4 with the car that won this race in 2003, that 12 car, Justin, of Timothy Latham.
See if Latham can try and replicate Ryan Newman's late race success there. Matt Skipper today, driving with the Pillsbury colors on the car today in 21st. Locke starts in 22nd. Chris Hancock, Philip Snipes, an all-team Roush row in 23rd and 24th. Tyler B. Murray returns to competition in the 30 car today. Drive for RCR alongside Quentin Clark. Then it's Brandon Cruz, Months of Ice, 27th, Olivia Hayward, 28th. It's Alex Bates and Jim Thorndike who round out the top 30 this evening.
All right, let's pick up from there. And it's going to be C. Shane Calhoun, Lilac Zier, and then Brendan McGee, Emily Howe, TJ Crampton, and Hayden Rapus rounding out your field. Now, JP, let's talk about it. I'm trying to bring this segment into the broadcast. March 30, 2003 is the date of this race when it occurred in real life that we're replicating. Couple quick notes. 50 Cent Into Club was your top song on the US chart. And then I just went and peeked. Bringing Down the House made $122 million this week in 2003. That was the top movie, followed by Chicago and Old School.
Drivers have 2 pace laps to get all set to go. We've had a crash on the backstretch.
Yeah, I heard something while I was...
TJ Crampton and a few other cars have just crashed down the backstretch on the pace lap. So the 0 has crashed after Shane Calhoun took a hard right in the 27 down the back straightaway.
I'm going to take a second and look and see what happened. I thought I heard him also. Yeah, I don't know. There's the aftermath.
It's a few minutes before this. Watch the 27 on the inside. Wow!
Give me a second. I know there's some thoughts of being wheel failure. Let me see if I can listen to the voice chat from back and see what's said about it. But like, typically wheel failure goes the other way. Hold on a second.
Yeah. Take a glance on board.
He says his shifter messed up. That doesn't make sense to me because unless his car threw a neutral and he just looped it around, I guess. But he's saying his shifter malfunctioned, JP.
I did hear a bit of an engine rev, like a downshift.
Yeah, I always get this wrong. Maybe you remember, JP. I thought like if your wheel disconnects, I thought it goes to the left. Does that sound right?
I've seen it go both ways. But
Okay.
but today, we'll see which drivers are able to make it around the track cleanly up note to DNS's McGee and Clark. Green flag is out. We're underway for WINSTEL competition from the Lone Star State. Jose Solis Jr. leads the way to end the first lap of the race. Top ahead in second. Pace already up 2 spots. Drop of the green flag in the 75 machine. Keep in mind when it comes to Texas today, track temperature fairly warm at 103 degrees Fahrenheit. Expecting some drivers to be slippy and slidey as they zip on by the wounded Calhoun to be the first lap driver, 33 on the lead lap.
Remember, JP, these are the Gen 4 cars on the iRacing service. These are full horsepower, roughly 900 horsepower vehicles. These are hard to control around a fast, loose track with this kind of weather.
And as someone who tested out this car with the horsepower, it's actually surprised the amount of momentum you have to carry into the corner without spinning it out to be able to stick to the bottom of the racetrack and be fast. You go full left or even a light brake, it can be up to a half a second difference on pace.
Yeah, so we got our first 4 or 5 in a row. If we can go back to the 8 car, and that's going to be our first side-by-side battle, JP. I'm curious to know or see as this race progresses. That's Dylan Roberts in the 8, of course. I'm curious to see what's going to happen if we have a preferred line as this race moves on. Will it be the inside because that's the quote-unquote shortest way around the track? Or do these guys want the high side because then you can get more momentum out of the corners? But now Dylan's going to back up and get behind, so maybe for now the bottom is the correct lane.
Yeah, the bottom always has been fairly dominant at this track. As we take a look at the side-by-side, Mark Martin machine looking to make a lot of cuts forward. There are a few you see utilizing the top line. Evan Locke, that's back in 20th. Ben Hancock zipping himself forward to 15th position. And the tough thing is just finding that said momentum talked about throughout this race. As you see, there's Locke top line, Philip Snipes doing the same.
You know what I love about this track, JP, though, is how we talked about it very briefly in the race. This is multi-groove racing. There are lines here. This is not follow the leader. You're going to see drivers covering 3 or 4 lanes in different parts of the track here. I mean, right there, you see 3 different lanes. You see the 4, I think you see the 24 up there, and there's the Rubbermaid car that we're on board with. That's 3 different lanes going through that corner.
Yeah, and the tough thing, too, giving communication over the radio about making sure there's no contact to the corner exits. As we take a look at the leaders, Jose Solis Jr., Tyler Head 1-2. Spoke with Tyler Head actually about a week and a half ago during that Easter break as part of a podcast interview. He was thinking he was going to start dropping back in the points starting this week onward. I think he's past his expectations again.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Tyler Head and what he does in this for this league in this series, and Tyler's someone who I think will be name relevant in the points all season. See a beautiful on-board shot here, and watching him just try to stay behind and get sucked some draft off the car in front of him.
To quote what Tyler Head said during the iRacers download previous week, he won the last race with the previous horsepower package in the series. He kind of joked about it being kind of a sign of, let's go to the different package.
Yeah. So we can move back on the cameras to the 60 car. That's 11, 12, and 13, I believe. We have a 3-wide battle here, JP. And they, of course, I call it out and they go back away from it. But they were 3 wide for about a whole lap. That's a testament to Texas right there. Everything's bigger in Texas, including the racing, apparently.
Oh, Kyle Benson getting a little bit loose in the 38.
Well, the wall works.
It indeed does. Benson, remember, one of the standout drivers in 2006's campaign. Some troubles, though, for Jacob Bradley, having to let everybody go to try and get back single file there.
You know, One thing that I think is not talked about enough with Texas or even Atlanta, Justin, and I want to get your opinion on as a driver as well. For me, the hardest part of this track is not the corners. It's not the back straight. It's that stinking tri-oval. It is really hard to get in there side by side with someone and not cut the grass or scrub the wall. I hate the tri-ovals. They're fun for real life, but these are so hard to get correct in the sim.
I agree with you indeed. First, it's quad oval, but second...
Yeah, you're right. Quad, not tri. Yeah, I can't count.
Yeah. I was testing for an event with this car. It felt like it was on ice in the quad oval. That's how much speed these drivers are carrying, more than 180 miles per hour. This package, it can be a very tricky spot as Latham clips the apron. Little slide underneath Ali Osman holding onto it.
And I just when Latham's coming through that corner, JP, he's riding just ever so lower than the 4 car. I thought he was going to try to get his nose in there and squeeze the 4 car up the track, and that's not going to go well if that happens in that move. There's not enough space here for both of them.
It's Christina Ryan for reference to 4, and a little bit of trouble that time for one of the Penske teammates. That's Chris Champo, having to lift a lot. Coming out of 2, opens up the door out of 4. And there goes the Rocket Man up a spot, Latham to 18th, and Osman takes advantage too.
So, of course, we talked about in the top of the broadcast, the intrigue of could Latham do what his car did 20 years ago in this race in March of 2003. Ryan Newman was on his incredible run of wins and won this race in the spring. So we'll wait and see if Timothy Latham can do that. But now we're seeing the 24 here, trying to line it up here. I think you just want to stay in the draft while you're single file, but lanes matter to certain drivers and where you're comfortable. But I'd want to stay in the draft and get sucked up to people here. Look at this drafting lane right here. That'll help a lot in catching that 24 car.
This is Thomas Lewandowski in the 21 machine leading this grouping. Caution,
Yellow.
turn 2. We're under yellow, 16th position. Kyle Benson, Evan Locke also involved in this one.
Oh,
and a
I saw
hard
that.
slam. Wow.
Not clear, driver.
That was TJ Crampton coming in at 160 miles an hour. And so, TJ Crampton already to the pit lane with significant damage. Already was involved in the crash under the pace lap. Not how you expect that to go.
No, that's, I'm going to wait and reserve comment until we see the replay here on the FTF replay. But 38 just got loose on their own. Did Crampton just not, get the memo? And if we can get a view from that car, the 0 car coming in, let's listen to the onboard. There doesn't, yeah.
I almost wonder if the valence dug in the ground with the damage from before.
I just wonder.
Because he did hit the brakes, it appears. Evan Locke, by the way, also went around with the help of Ali Osman in the secondary incident. So, TJ Crampton taking responsibility for one of the secondary incidents. Philip Snipes, the only driver not to pit there, trying to get some laps. First off the lane, 4 tires, Jose Solis Jr., Christian Budd, Tyler Head, Thomas Lewandowski, Larry Pace. Now, for those curious about the paint scheme tonight on Larry Pace's machine, yes, that is a real car. Because many people may not know this. That was originally a part-time car. David Starr tried to qualify, but never qualified a race in previously. Larry Pace was able to take the 50 car from 2006, originally driven by Larry Foyt, unsponsored, and drove it to a near championship run with a plain white car.
There you go. Yes, all these cars should represent their counterparts from the season we've been referencing, 2003 NASCAR season. With that, some things to talk about while we're under caution, JP. So first off, we're using the 2.3 point system. No chase, no playoff, no this, no win and in, pure points. Second thing, when we go green here, when we get 1 to go here in a minute, which we are not yet because the lights are still on, these are single file restarts, JP. Everyone's going to stay to the outside. You cannot pass on the inside until we get to the green flag, and lapped cars will be on the inside lane until we get to 10 to go. So that 38 we see there, he's probably on the lead lap. I'm going to take a look at my scoring for a second. So no, he's a lap down. So Kyle Benson will be on the inside lane, as will Emily Howell, who's not here. Calhoun's not here. That might be the other one. Nope. Brennan McGee is 14 laps down on track, so he will also start on the inside lane.
Philip Snipes not peeling down yet. See if he'll come down with the 2 to go and risk the potential of the black flag.
Yeah, it's too late. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
About to say, Benson and Crampton have already gotten EOLs for their parts in the caution flag period. Snipes on the bright side. He's got a lead lap to his credit. 97 machine. Of note, Brendan McGee has joined the race 14 laps down.
Oh my God, he is going to take the penalty.
Yeah, well, no, I think he missed the commitment cone, even.
I think he...
The commitment cone is that orange cone, not the yellow, to be able to safely enter the pit lane.
Yeah, that's for Philip Snipes. I don't see yet I'm going to keep an eye on this if you want to move ahead here, but so far, we'll wait and see when he comes off pit road here. But as of yet, Philip Snipes does not have a black flag attached to their entry, and that confuses me. So other rule change to talk about for this league, and we've done it before, is these guys have shortened gas tanks, JP.
So everybody on the lead lap so far, except for Kyle Benson, TJ Crampton, Emily Howe, Shane Calhoun, and Brennan McGee. Of those, 3 are getting damage repairs done. Calhoun is out of the race currently, and Brennan McGee is trying to make up for a late start, missing the green flag, in fact, here today. So
How does Philip Snipes not have a black flag?
Well, we'll find out if he has to peel down to the pit lane after later on in the run. We'll find out. Solis Jr., by the way. Reese Slater, Head, Bud, Pace, Doucette, the top 5. Lewandowski, Doucette, Ryan Doucette, Montgomery, Roberts, Holzer, your top 10 so far. As the iRacing pace car drops off. 37 to go from the big state of Texas. We're underway again. And already some aggression towards turn 1. That's Lewandowski losing the bottom of the racetrack inside. Ryan Doucette, one of the eNASCAR pro drivers in the series. A little slide for Doucette. Want some aggression behind as well. That's James Holzer trying to hold on to the bottom. Gabriel Mauricio trying to hold off a Heisheim and Happy Fast Car and Sean Pellig.
Well, JP, I'm going to go back and study my NASCAR rulebook at the end of this broadcast because Philip Snipes has continued to go around. There is not a black flag. I don't know how he pitted with 2 to go and got away with it. I don't know how he just obliterated that cone and got away with it, but we're still green here, and we'll focus on the front, but I want to bring that up since we talked about it. That Philip Snipes is find a race.
Currently 28th position. Keep an eye still on Nicholas Doucette. Nicholas Doucette of note, second in the point standings entering today. 9 points back of James Holzer. James Holzer trying to pick up ground on the 25. Keep in mind Nicholas Doucette. 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s in the first 5 campaign races. We take a look at the back.
So that Aaron's dream machine here was riding a higher lane and trying to find a groove. Now, what's the point of riding a higher lane to some extent, JP, as the track temp is currently 103 degrees Fahrenheit. As this track warms up, or as it stays that hot even, that higher lane means you're turning the wheel a little less, and it's probably, to some of these drivers, less likely you're going to turn it too hard and lose the car. To me, when a track is slick, you want to turn the wheel as little as possible and not encourage that car to come around. And I think that's what they're aiming for right here.
A loose moment there. That's Monsivice in the 20s. Dropping the Todd Bodine machine. 54. A few drivers are getting really loose. This is around the point where some drivers started to slide in the last run, remember. Case in point, nearly into the wall goes the 9. No penalty. Philip Snipes allowed to keep rolling. Still in 27th position. Oh, in trouble. Solis Jr. clips the apron for the first time, nearly spins it, holds on. All of this is while Christina Ryan gains now 4 spots, making the move with Hernandez.
So let's do a couple of call-outs, JP. The person who I see has moved up the most spots in this race. We can go back to the 40 car of Gabriel Mauricio. It's up 5 spots. Started 17th and now 12th. And I think the next one I see is Christina Ryan. Started 19th up to 15th in that 4 cars. They both are having very good days here in Texas trying to make some passes.
Your biggest mover, though, so far? Give a shout out to Lilac Zire in the 11 machine, the Hooters car. Brett Ladine, look at that machine. Zire trying to move up plus 10. Currently, because of that loss to Texas Terry, a plus 9 instead. So them and Alex Bates looking strong early. Zire losing the bottom, though. You can already see just from the exits, a lot of drivers snapping. That's Lilac Zire holding on to it. Evan Locke taking advantage.
I think sometimes at home when people are watching this on Twitch or however they watch it on YouTube or whatnot, we get excited. And I think it's because we get excited eggs, we've done it and we know how bad it is. But remember this, if you can see a car wiggle from that camera view, imagine how much was really wiggling inside the car, Justin. That was super scary to watch that Hooters machine jiggle and bounce off the out of the corner there.
Hayward also losing ground with the wiggles as many of these drivers in the 20s having the loose moments here early on in this one. Just approaching the halfway point. In fact, the halfway point this time by here at Texas. Solis Jr. Head and Bud. Still 1 through 3 on the racetrack. Head keeping Jose Solis Jr. within distance, though. Solis Jr. starting to clip the apron a bit more and more, though. It was nearly, in fact, more than a tenth quicker last time by compared to the RCR car.
Hey, man, I know that clipping the apron thing, though, that could come back and bite you very quickly with no warning, JP. That's how you get a car loose and you loop it around. And it's dangerous, because what's going to happen is that front or that back end's going to come around and you're probably going to back it up the hill when you do it. And it's going to be a nasty wreck if you get that wrong.
On board with Christian Budd, top 10 of the points coming into today. 9th, in fact, after dropping 6 spots. Once those in the double-digit club for incident points on the season. Oh, and now it's Head clipping the apron and getting loose. Budd trying to build the run for second.
You know, it's interesting to me, as you said, you had the podcast where you talked to Tyler, and he said, oh, I'm going to start falling back this week. And he's not driving like someone with confidence problems right now. He seems to think he belongs, and that's a good thing.
By the way, technical issues. Jonathan Hernandez currently off the circuit. Give you an update as soon as we can in that situation with the 83 machine. Also, we mentioned Timothy Latham's Ryan Newman car. He's lost the bottom for the moment up to 16th. That's because Chris Hancock, who elected the pit, is on an alternate strategy in this race. So a lot of different strategies at play. We are almost at the pit window, though, and based on the numbers, it might be close for a one-stopper to the end.
Yeah, I was wondering that in my head, JP. Obviously, people stopped under yellow so they could kind of drag out this pit stop or make this pit stop as short as humanly possible. Beautiful pass there by the 17, getting under Tyler Head and trying to complete it. We'll see if Tyler Head can hold the momentum here. And I don't think so. It's going to be the 17 making the pass here in 1 and 2.
Like Head giving up the Ghost and nearly getting attacked by the Ghost still. Head able to hold on to it.
So the question in the driver's mind right now, JP, though, is you're planning for that green flag stop. You know you still need to make one. Depending upon how long the stop is, do you risk 2 tires? Obviously, you're shredding tires here. It's a hot track. You know, it's a multi-groove track. Taking 2 tires is super risky. It can really throw the car off what you're expecting. But does the benefit of the new tires weigh out? There's a lot of things to think about here as we get ready to start our pit stops.
Ryan Doucette, meanwhile, trying to utilize the top of the racetrack. Trying to get around Nicholas Doucette. It's the battle with the Doucettes. Canadian Nick on the inside. The American Nick on the outside. Ryan Doucette, the only driver so far who's been trying to have a confident pass on the outside. Still not able to clear on by the 24.
No, it's going to need that car behind him to line up and give him that small draft push, I think, to get around. Or they're going to spend a lot of time racing and losing ground here with the side-by-side battle.
Lap traffic ahead, though, utilizing the top lane, Emily Howe, who is several laps down so far. Ryan Doucette, though, able to clear Nicholas Doucette right before they reach that traffic. And right as they reach the pit stop bell lap. Several pit stops this time by. Locke coming in. Reaper's amongst those coming in this time.
This is where you start to question what to do, because you don't want to wait forever to pit and lose ground on these guys in case they do take tires. But you also kind of hope that maybe there's an incident around pit road and the yellow comes out. So there's a lot of strategy here involved in this race, or in this moment of this race, I should say.
You're in Matt Skipper coming in this time of the 43. Will the leader be coming in yet? Not quite. Christian Budd took a lower line. So there's a look at the 43. Petty Enterprises machines. How would you describe the pit entry here? We already seen how difficult it is to get it right under caution.
Yeah, it's actually not that hard compared to other NASCAR tracks. Watch Matt Skipper come in here. This is a decent pit entry compared to other places we go on this schedule and in NASCAR. This is a good entry. You just got to make sure to, be ready to do it out of 4, and I think you'll be okay.
Laurie Pace starting to lose a little bit of pace there to Ryan Doucette. Ryan Doucette, one of the fastest cars on the track right now at the end of this run. And he's doing it on the high side to pass cars, not on the bottom here. A critical difference. And that is, how big is that now in turn for what we may expect from Doucette later?
Well, this is the problem, is by staying out here and by not pitting just yet, what you are putting yourself through, Justin, is, the more laps that you are closer to the end, you see a tighter head there, I think, is going down. The closer you are to the end, the less reason or justification you have to put tires on this car. So what could happen is, if these guys like Tyler Head or the people who pitted before Tyler are willing to put tires on, they're going to run down someone who stays out. And when this works out for you is if you get a caution at this point, assuming how long you push it. I would say probably by the end of lap 40, everyone should be on pit road. And yeah, I see Jacob Bradley's pitting.
A lot of pit
Christina
calls.
Ryan's coming in. Yeah.
Here come the leaders. Ryan Doucette.
Oh.
Christian Budd stretching, and several spinning it. Thomas Lewandowski into the wall. Lewandowski has spun on the pit entry. And a big slide. Christina Ryan crashes as well. Two cars crash in the pit entry. No caution yet. We stay green for now as Ryan loops it right nearly back into Lewandowski.
Amazingly, despite that, JP, we're going to watch this again on a replay machine here. The Ford does not have a penalty for unsafe pit entrance.
Everybody was loose. And wow is what you could say. That is not good when you're pitting.
Here's what I'll say. The 21 did not hold their brake. They were trying to get lined up better. I don't think if they had held their brake, that still would have been a tough pit entrance for Christina Ryan, I think.
So several cars crashed into the pit lane. Christian Budd pitting this past time by. Larry Pace stretching the run. Already 25 plus laps. Solis Jr., for reference, has cycled ahead of Tyler Head by more than a second and a half. Right now, the possible net leader will see how the rest of the drivers fare out with Budd coming off the lane. A big difference. Christian Budd already a good 10 plus seconds back because the 29 took 2 tires. Everybody else has taken 4 so far.
Well, the other difference I was going to talk about, JP, with that wreck we just saw with the 21 and the 4 and others on pit road, sometimes that's the other reason to be off strategy, is think about all the time the 4 lost right there. They did nothing wrong. They decided to pit after the 21 who got loose, and now Christina Ryan's back here in 25th because of all that. Sometimes that's the benefit of pitting first, is you guarantee yourself a clean pit road, and the only way you lose time is if you mess it up, not if someone else messes it up.
Laurie Pace now pitting this time. James Holzer has nearly spun it trying to pit the car in the 91, so some troubles for the Casey Atwood car for Everham Motorsports. Nearly spun it at least 3 times this lap, make it 4 times on the brakes. They might have blown tire here. As an air spin, that's Chris Hancock.
If that's not a blown tire, that's just, it must be super worn out, because that was crazy to watch that happen, Justin. There's a 5 and the 38 of Kyle Benson.
This should close the pit window. Olivia Hayward, the only other driver the lead lap yet to pit. They've also peeled in, so the window's closed. And everyone should be able to make it to the end on gasoline. The question mark is how things play out strategy-wise. Solis Jr. leading on 2 tires. Towerhead, Ryan Doucette, Nicholas Doucette, Christian Bunt, the top 5. The thing is, 29 is on 2 tires. They've lost 4 tenths to Head and Ryan Doucette since the pit stops already.
All right, well, we talked about pit strategy, and then we wrapped up the conversation with one more thought, JP, as we start to wrap up this race. Can we go back to the 60 car of Jacob Bradley for a second? As far as I can tell, Jacob is the only car in this race who has a spotter and or a crew chief, that being Samuel Stoner. How that is such a benefit when you have someone else making decisions for you sometimes. As a driver, let me focus on driving, and if I have someone else there with me to help make decisions about when I pit or what do I do on the pit, if I trust that person and we have good rapport, that is an amazing benefit. And I'm really surprised more drivers in here don't have spotters or crew chiefs with them, Justin.
Seen a few on the box. And those wondering, Solis Jr. is still on the racetrack. Just a technical blip. But for Kyle Benson, he's currently the buffer between the leaders. Here come Head and Doucette together, coming to 10 laps to go. Towerhead looking to lead the charge. Ryan Doucette on 1 lap fresher tires, though, taking a small peek to the inside for second.
If you're Jose Solis right now, well, not now, but the moment these guys get side by side, JP, the moment the 77 and the 86 get side by side, Jose Solis will have the biggest grin on his face ever because they'll slow each other up. But right now, staying in line together while Jose Solis is trying to navigate lap traffic, that's the best thing for them.
Side by side for second. Ryan Doucette passes Towerhead.
And done efficiently. Good job.
There's lap traffic ahead too. Towerhead letting him go, coming to 9 to go. And the pressure's on. A 1 second gap with a sea of lap traffic ahead. They've already had Haven Repas lose the lap. Jonathan Hernandez, Chris Champo, the next up in terms of lap traffic.
And typically, JP, the story of lap traffic is they're going to fight the leader pretty hard. They don't want to go a lap down. They're not going to disrespect the leader, but they don't want to go a lap down. But once they're already a lap down, most lap traffic tends to be a little nicer to second and third because there's no point in holding them up. So we'll see what happens here.
Already a solid cushion. The problem is the cushion going down more and more, down to 0.6 of a second. Under 8 laps to go. Ryan Doucette has had a lot of speed all throughout this campaign. The tough thing has been trying to break through for victory lane this season. Towerhead losing ground on the older tires already. Looking like a possible top 3 at least for Head, though, because he is even down on pace right now compared to Bud and Nicholas Doucette. There's a look at them right now for reference. Dustin Montgomery in his first start of the season doing what was well in the 01.
You know, JP, what I'm surprised about, and I'm going to own this, that I missed it. When we talked about pit stop before they happened, I was like, will people take 0 or 2 tires? I had never pondered taking 4, but I believe we're seeing right now for the battle for the lead, look at this. The 77 is showing us why 4 tires is the correct answer. Look at the gap they have closed on Jose Solis in the short number of laps.
Christian Butt is also closing in fast on the freshest tires in the field. He's within 2 seconds of the battle for the lead. Under 6 laps to go. Ryan Doucette looking to cross off Jose Solis Jr. Solis Jr.'s led 43 of the first 49 laps. Looking to try and defend to the bottom. Ryan Doucette has made several passes on the top of this race, but the caution is out. Caution back straight away. Olivia Hayward involved. One of the Everham Motorsports machines. That's the 9 of Brandon McGee also spinning. Coming with 5 laps to go. We're under caution.
All right, JP, let's set up a green-white checker. And let's remind ourselves and the viewers the WINSTEL 2003 rules are as follows. Let's watch the replay first. What happens here?
That's Repas in the white car.
Oh,
yep.
Big. Hard to 8. Got him off 2 wheels, in fact. That's how hard the hit was. All right, so here are the 2003 rules. We're 1 green-white checker. The race stewards have determined they do not care what. That's just a slower car that the 4 hit there. Is that the 4 with the Kodak, I believe?
04. That's the 04.
Yeah.
David Rudiman actually drove that car.
Yeah. So the race stewards have said once the green white checker begins and that green flag falls, they do not care what happens. We will race off both laps. Now here's the thought. These guys didn't plan for the green white checker probably. They need more gas.
Oh boy, and here's the thing too. Mixed strategy. Tyler Head, Christian Budd, Gabriel Mauricio, Sean Pellick, James Holzer, Timothy Latham, Ben Hancock have all joined the group of drivers staying out for this restart. Half the field has pit, half has stayed out. This could be one of those Texas shootout style finishes in terms of strategy.
Knowing that, honestly, JP, knowing we're going to race both laps, knowing that half pitted and half didn't, I'd put tires on it. I know it's going to take me longer in the pit stall, but I'd put tires on it. Tires are better than no tires. Now, the question is what's going to happen up front. Are these guys just risking it because they have nothing to lose by being in the back of the field? Were they lifting and saving in preparation for a green white checker? Or are they just going to wait and see what happens? I don't know. This is going to get exciting, though, because if someone runs out of gas at this track, JP, it is going to be a big problem.
Well, keep in mind, the longest anyone went was about 25 laps. Nicholas Doucette, the first of those, the second of those, rather, on 2 tires. Roberts also taking 2. Solis Jr. on back, taking 4 outside of Bradley, Montsevice, and Ryan. Here's the key kicker. 5 of the drivers who stayed out were in the top 10. So this is a big play here. Can these drivers pass 11 cars in 2 laps?
Yes. Yes, they can. If assuming the guys who took 4 tires, there's nothing stopping you from passing these cars at a big track like Texas. Because those new tires, you're going to be able to hold the outside lane and pass these guys who are holding the bottom. And especially if these guys on old tires give up the bottom because they slide up, those new cars will get in that bottom lane and eat them up. So let's take a look here. You were saying 11 spots. Trying to find our... So Jose Solis right now, I'm being shown as scored in 14th. That's the first one with 4 tires, correct?
Correct.
He had to pass 13 drivers in 2 laps. Can he do it? Yes. Is Jose Solis talented enough to do it? Yes.
Third question. How many cars go slippy slidey in terms of fighting? Yeah, that's going to be the toughest part. You still have to pass them cleanly. Here's
my argument for that. Now you're right. Those cars that are going to probably have a horrible. Some of them will have a horrible restart because of old tires. But being that single file start, there's not as much pressure, I think, on these cars to get that big jump as we do in current NASCAR with the double wide. But this is going to get scary because remember, if these cars wreck up front, you technically cannot go below them to pass. Now, race control might make that determination afterwards that it's okay, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, of course, once again, I'll bring this up again. You had an interview with Tyler Head, and he said, I don't think I'm going to be up there today. He's leading.
So we are past the point of no return, which means sudden death overtime. 1 green-white checkered finish. No cautions come out in WINSTEL competition for these 2 lap shootouts to determine the win past the scheduled distance. Tyler Head, Christian Budd, Gabriel Mauricio, Sean Pellick, and James Holzer are the top 5. The top 11 drivers all staying out on old tires, some as old as 18.5 laps. Coming to the green, Matt Skipper with the oldest. Dylan Roberts, the first on 2 tires, the first on 4, Solis Jr. 3 miles to decide things from Texas.
What happens?
Pace car is off, green flag is out, 2 laps to go. And a clean launch for Tyler Head and the rest of the main drivers in the pack. How do they hold on? Already, the flurry's on, side by side behind him with the fresh tires. Roberts nearly getting the crash, 3 wide. Nick Doucette, the first to get through. Solis Jr. crashes. Solis Jr. crashes with the 11 lug tire. No cautions will come out as there's a big one down the back. Several cars gathering back up, coming to the white flag, this time by the first on freshies is Nicholas Doucette. He's up to 8th. The race for the win is on with the white flag between Head, Budd, and Mauricio. Christian Budd trying to send it on the high side. A slide underneath Mauricio. Bud spins. Mauricio involved. Pellic dodges. Head up to the wall. Zipping on by is Holzer and several others. Bud trying to get up to speed as Tyler Head tries to hold them off. One more slide. Tyler Head holds off the hard-charging pack to winning at Texas.
Oh, two step with a hard hit to the inside pit wall, the 24. Wow.
It took a gamble. It paid off. Roberts within a second of the win, but only got to 6. Tyler Head leads 6 laps. Does it. Part with the strategy there.
That was the right call. And for multiple reasons. Let's watch this again here on the replay machine and see what happens. This is the white flag lap here.
Thomas Lewandowski amongst those with incidents in the mid-pack. It was pure chaos at some marks there for the win. Christian Budd loose.
That 17 might have had more problems than just being loose. I haven't looked at it yet, so I can't say that. But that looked like maybe they got some help being loose.
A little bit of A, a lot of bit of B.
A lot of bit of B.
Great
so
save, though.
This will be interesting on the, because Race Control told these guys, if you wreck someone under the green white checker, you will get moved back in spots. So there's 3 or 4 drivers who are going to need to move around here in spots. So we'll have to wait and see where people finish off. But congrats to Tyler Head. That will help secure his spot in the point standings.
Tyler had his 2nd victory of the season. First came at a short track. Second came tonight at a 1.5 miles. A magical season continues for Tyler Head as the first multi-race winner of the season here in WINSTEL competition. In turn, as he celebrates down to the front straightaway, let's take a glance towards some of the unofficial race results. What was an eventful one here tonight? Tyler Head drives into victory lane, staying out for the green-white checkered, holding off Sean Pellic and James Holzer. Gabriel Mauricio unofficially in 4th. Nicholas Doucette first those through the tires in 5th. Roberts in 6th. Ryan Doucette got up to 7th. Dustin Montgomery finished in 8th. Timothy Latham did make it to the top 10 to his credit in 9th. Laurie Pace held on to a top 10 on the fresh tires.
Pick up here on P11, we got Ben Hancock in that 6th car with Jacob Bradley, then Alex Bates, Ali Osman, and Chris Champeau round out your top 15. Then Thomas Lewandowski, Brandon Cruz Monsavice, Christina Ryan, Tyler Murray, and Philip Snipes round out your top 20.
21st tonight, going the way of Matt Skipper, Evan Locke, Jim Thorndike, Christian Budd, Jose Solis Jr., Lilac Zaire. Last of those in the lead lap down include Olivia Hayward, Hayden Reepez, Jonathan Hernandez, Chris Hancock. Top 30.
Pick it up on 31st. For our graphics to catch up here. Let's take a look here. There you go. Emily Howe, Kyle Benson, 13 laps down. Then TJ Crampton, Brandon McGee, and then Shane Calhoun and Quentin Clark round out your 36. Well, JP, what an exciting race. And I believe you have caught up with Tyler Head.
Yes, indeed. Tyler, very different. The results we just seen tonight compared to our discussion a week and a half ago. You're the first multi-winner of the season. How does it feel to win at Texas?
It feels really, really good. I don't know what it is about the Fred Jones car that makes people want to pit in front of it when we're getting set for the final restart of the race, but I don't mind it. If I'd known that I could have this advantage, I would have picked it a long time ago.
I mean, it's the Fred Jones car. Everybody loves Fred Jones.
They're just clearing the way for a good buddy, you know?
In all seriousness here tonight, the racing, you're up in the top 5 just about the entire night. How would you describe the feel of that car? Because it seemed, at least for the outside in, and at least personal experience on my side at least, a very quick car and a very loose one.
Yeah, I really like the way that it felt. I think that we delivered a very fun setup as a league tonight, and I was really pleased to be pretty decently quick with it. I felt really competitive. Jose, I think, was a little bit better than me speed-wise, but I think he was using up his tires a little bit more than I was. But meanwhile, Christian Budd and Ryan Doucette were doing a lot better keeping their stuff throughout a long run, which looked like it might decide the race before that last caution. But I was still really thrilled to have top 5 pace the whole night. And then obviously that restart falling into my lap and giving me the opportunity to race for the win was just icing on the cake. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to see what happened um, on the white flag lap there. I hate it for Bud because he was running really strong, and I think he was going to have something for me there because he had fresher tires and he had taken care of them better. But it broke my way, and I'm really thankful.
Half Mile Mayhem up next on the schedule. Confidence levels for the paperclip.
Well, honestly, confidence levels are shaky at best just because there's so much that's not in your control there, right? It's going to be track position's going to be a premium, and the people that don't have it will be doing everything they can to get it, and that can make things happen in a hurry there, in a negative way or a positive way. So we'll navigate it the best that we can. I know that we got a good group of people that are going to be racing there next week, so I'm looking forward to it for sure. Just don't know that I know what to expect.
Congratulations on your second victory this season, your first since Rockingham. A dominant start to the start of the season, or a very strong one, should say, in the first 6 races.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Stopper Head, your winner tonight in the Fred Jones car. Here at Texas, second spot tonight went the way of one Sean Pelligson, also known by his full name, Sean Pellig. He's with Derek.
John, good job tonight in that 48 machine. You got a second place run out of it. So talk us through. I want to know, the caution comes out. We know we're going green, white checker. Did pitting ever cross your mind?
Yeah, pitting totally crossed my mind. Because I wasn't sure. I was pushing really hard in the lead up to that green white checkered. I didn't know how my tires were gonna do, but I was just about ready to pit, and right when I was getting up to the cone, I'm like, no, I gotta stay out. I mean, I'm gonna lose too many spots. I'm not gonna have the time to catch up. I just gotta stay out and work with what I got. And thankfully, it worked out pretty well.
Indeed, it did. So Jose Solis and Nicholas Doucette, I think, were the first two in line with those new tires. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not at all, 10 being completely scared, how scared were you they were going to catch you guys in 2 laps?
Uh, It was kinda iffy. I knew they would probably have a chance. I'd probably put it at, like, a worrying before the restart, probably a 6 or a 7. I mean, I thought they'd had a chance, but they just never even really got a chance to keep up with us leaders. I thought it would be a little closer, but I guess we just got out there and they just didn't have enough time for the
And some
tires to
unfortunate
work it over.
incidents that you'll probably see in the replay. You'll see that maybe held some people up. Well, next week, we go from a big track at Texas, everything's bigger, to one of our smallest tracks at Martinsville. So you'll maybe win a grandfather clock or get yourself some hot dogs. But what are your thoughts about racing at Martinsville next week?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is my first top 5 of the season. It's been a rough ride for me so far. I'm usually pretty good at Martinsville. Last season, I led a lot of laps. No, I think. But after this last week of running a bunch of C I don't know how I feel about Martinsville. I'm kind of worried about those hard corners with these easy to lift bumpers. But we'll see. We'll try to keep it clean and, like you said, try to go out there and win a grandfather clock.
I think after running officials this week, we're all a little concerned about Martinsville. Well, Sean, thank you so much for your time tonight, and congrats on your P2.
Thank you very much. Have a good
You're
one,
welcome.
guys.
Good night. All right, and that means James Holzer, I believe, is up with JP. JP, whenever you're ready, we can get James in here, and he's all yours.
Yes, indeed. Currently unofficial point standings show James Holzer still the points leader by 24 points with a top 3 finish here tonight. James, a little bit slippy slidey. How would you describe that car tonight, especially with that pit window where you really slow down?
An absolute handful, to say the least. It was definitely treacherous, especially if you abuse that right rear early, which is kind of what we experienced that second run. The first run we were doing good, and we were going to reel in the pack in front of us, but ideally it was about a 10th, 11th place car all race. Decided to stay out long. Hopefully everybody would pit in front of me, get the bonus point. Ideally did that, and actually was going to net out one position better than where I came in at in P11. So that worked out for us. Then we got the caution, and it was with about 3 to go, and it was just kind of one of those up in the air decisions. And with how it went at Atlanta, it really didn't pay to pit per se because people were going to stay out, and especially with my tires only being 6, 7 laps old, definitely going to be slower than the people behind me that pitted. But with single file restarts, it would definitely give me enough of a buffer, I thought, to at least net gain on 11th. So yeah, we did just that and was passing Sean around the outside there, going into one, and the contact happened with the 17 and the 40. Not really sure what happened there, but that happened. Went low enough to miss it, and I should have ran the second lane in 3 and 4 because Sean had to check up so much because he didn't have an angle, and when I lifted there, I about wrecked it myself. But yeah, having a 11th, 12th place car and getting the 3rd place finish is, capitalizing on the most we could. But yeah, Tyler has been awesome in this Gen 4 car since they induced the high horsepower. So gonna have to do some things and do some homework to figure out what we can do to figure out how to run, the pace that he's running and have the tires that he does. So it's nice to hopefully have the points lead still going into next week. But if not, we're still in a good position. It's a long season, so just gotta keep these finishes consistent and just keep moving forward and chugging away top 10s.
Well, you just answered at least 10 of our 3 questions I have, so I will ask you about the one you didn't answer. Martinsville up next. And it was talked about a little bit by both competitors in front of you in the results. They were nervous about that track. How are you feeling about going to the half mile of mayhem?
It's going to be interesting. We had a pretty decent race, if I remember right, last time we came here, but shifting ended up being a point. So I don't know with this car having so much horsepower if shifting will actually become an option, but definitely going to be something to look into, and just kind of keeping all 4 corners clean enough to, stay on track, and, having those tires at the right time is definitely, what you're going to have to do.
Thank you very much for your time, James.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That's James Holzer finishing in the top 3 today. I'd like to thank him as well as the rest of your top 3 for taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage here on FTFGG. In turn, Derek, we get ready in turn for Martinsville Speedway. 100 laps at the paperclip. What could go wrong in 100 laps? How many will be green?
We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be an exciting race. The complete opposite of this. Went from one of the fastest and bigger tracks to one of the slowest and smallest. So I'd expect a little bit more beating and banging. I'd expect a lot more tempers and maybe a couple more cautions next week, Justin.
We'll indeed see how things play out. But in turn, we'd like to thank you for tuning in for tonight's coverage. WINSTEL 2003 season here on FTFGG. Keep an eye on FTFGG and its main feed as well tonight because it's Cup Series presented by Bart Visuals currently on action now on FTF1. Be sure to tune in to see how those drivers play out. For Dirk Watson, our producer tonight, Bradley Cooper, I'm Justin Prince saying so long, enjoy the rest of your evening. You've been watching WINSTEL competition from Texas.